Is with the Wall Street Journal editorial board, a member, phenomenal writer, by the way. John Lonski, Moody's analytics chief economist, phenomenal read of anything numbers. And last but certainly not least, Ann Walser, Walser Wealth Management CEO, Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, you know, when I look at this, and you and I chatted about it before, the backdrop for Republicans and this president's been this impeachment is a waste of time. The economy is firing on all cylinders. So are the markets. You want to impeach that? Everything gets impeached. What do you think?
I think so, and I think that Americans are really seeing through this and really care more about their pocketbooks and do they feel better than they did 4 years ago. And if you look at the markets, if you look at where the Dow was, where the S&P was, where NASDAQ was, I mean, we have just gained so much. You know, we could be 10,000. It actually is a 10,000 point gain today. We hit a 10,000 growth in the Dow. So people are looking since the president's election in 2016. So and it is such a gray area. This is not, and it's unusual where we're having an election in the same year where the impeachment vote is actually going to be taking place. So it's just all of these things together are making the whole picture not very black and white. And I think that, you know, as a lawyer, we need a black and white impeachment standard. It doesn't need to be gray.
Bill, going forward with this, the president wants a longer process in the Senate so he wants to have the Bidens up there. Right. Mitch McConnell apparently telling him no, you know, the shorter the better. Grassley kind of echoing that. What do you think?
Well, look, I understand what he's doing. First of all, he's playing a public relations game, right? Bring it on. And, you know, you want to talk about me, we'll talk about Hunter Biden and some uncomfortable questions there. Look, I don't believe it's in any president's interest to be impeached, even if they come out stronger, just because there are wild cards. I was telling you before, I have a wife and 3 daughters very supportive of me. I wouldn't want them to be testifying for me. Right. I don't know what they would say in that. So
well, actually, I did talk to them.
And so I don't think it's in the, I think I think short and dismissive is a way for the Republican Senate to show this Rube Goldberg operation that you had in the House to get this impeachment. We just don't think much of it. Look, the second article of impeachment about obstruction, that's an abuse of power by Congress. The idea that a president can't go to the court to defend his privileges, I mean, that's insane.
You know, John, with all apologies to this being a competing paper to Bill's, the New York Times has this survey out in these battleground states where their economic picture isn't as robust as it was. It was more robust than it was when certainly from his election, it's better than things were. But it's off some of the highs. So I think in places like Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania and some of these, Wisconsin, there the battle is on. And it's not that black and white for the president. Forget about support or lack thereof for impeachment, that the economic one isn't as rosy as it was a little more than a year ago.
Well, it could very well improve in 2020.
Right.
Moody's Analytics has a model that attempts to predict who's going to win the presidential election based on economic performance. And last time they ran this model, they had Trump winning by a wide margin. So I would think that going forward, if the market's
that model had Donald Trump winning last go around.
Oh, the last time around, Clinton was going to win. Okay, the last time they ran the model, though. Okay, recently, the past couple of months, a month or so, they had Trump winning handily.
But it's not a model you can rely on.
Well, I think it is. It was, you know.
I'm kidding.
Okay,
I would go ahead. They were all wrong.
Well, you know, the economy should be going in the president's favor.
Yes.
I mean, one of the things that you asked, though, in a lot of these battleground states, separately, politically, a lot of them aren't really keen on the impeachment thing, dragging on and on. But that battle means, even though Democrats bemoan the fact that they won the popular vote, he won the electoral vote, candidates are going to be sitting in parked in those battleground states, aren't they?
That's right. The battleground states will be more important than ever, which is hard to believe. But Neil, I mean, this is just a question of, I saw some interviews this morning with a lot of people saying, oh, you know what, these Democrats, these 31 district Democrats can vote for impeachment and it'll be so forgotten by the time we get to the election. And I think that's exactly the opposite. I think you're going to have so much money poured in by saying you ran as a moderate, you ran as, supporting and being bipartisan.
And some of them want to split hairs, right? I'll vote for one article, not the other.
Right. And people are not going to be able to forget because there's going to be so much emphasis on what they did. How can you be bipartisan if this is how you voted? And I do think there's going to be a price to be paid.
You know, I wonder with this candidate who's been the focus wanting to switch parties, and the Democratic group, they came on him like a pile of bricks, right? So was that as much a signal to send other Democrats who might entertain the same, or go so far as to not vote?
Right. I think Rebecca is right. First of all, those ads are already happening. There's a Republican group, congressional group, that's putting this out there. Look, if you step back and you say, again, I don't think impeachment's good for any president, but I think we got a trade deal because of impeachment, because Mrs. Pelosi was under pressure to prove she could do something else. And some of these, it's just odd in the week that a president is going to be
Very
impeached, that he gets a big trade deal and the government funding. So, and Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff have done something that Donald Trump couldn't do, Mitch McConnell couldn't do, Paul Ryan couldn't do, they've united the Republican Party. Let's face it, when they vote, the only question is there's not going to be no Republicans voting for impeachment, and the question is how many Democrats defect.
But, he mentioned something interesting there, too, John, about what it means for getting stuff done. Ironically, even though it was thought to put the parties in a lock and nothing else gets done, because of that, it put pressure on Nancy Pelosi to get something done on this U.S., Mexico, Canada court, and separately maybe for the president to goose this China thing in the middle of it all. So you could make an argument, like he did, that in a weird way, it's pushed this progress.
And I think that's correct. There's been a lot of uncertainty over what's happening on the trade front, whether or not we should locate plants in the United States or elsewhere and so on. And those uncertainties are going away. That should lend a boost to capital spending. And at the same time, that should also help maintain a reasonably good rate of growth for payrolls.
All right, final word on the subject. I want to thank you all very, very much.